A massive discovery just changed everything we know about the world's most famous ancient site.
One of the Machu Picchu archaeologists discovered a faint symbol that raised some new questions.
Using new radar tech, scientists found that Machu Picchu is actually a hypertech water filter the size of 12 acres. The terraces were not just for farming corn, they were designed to move thousands of gallons of water during tropical storms. Even crazier, the stones fit together so tight that you cannot even slide a piece of paper between them.
You cannot fit a dollar bill or a razor blade between them. The technique of fitting these blocks together baffles archaeologists and engineers today.
This level of work is basically impossible without iron tools or lasers. We are looking at a site that defies every rule of ancient history and engineering hands down. Forbidden secrets, hidden in the deep stone layers. Machu Picchu sits on a mountain ridge 8,000 feet high in the Andes. Everyone knows the famous stone buildings and the green terraces that look like stairs. But here is the deal. Most of the real work is actually invisible. New scans from 2026 using ground-penetrating radar have peeled back the layers of the Earth. What they found is shocking engineers. The terraces are not just for growing food, they are actually a massive multi-layered drainage machine. This system is so smart that it still works perfectly after 600 years of heavy rain and earthquakes. This shouldn't be possible. Most modern walls in the United States only last 50 to 100 years before they need big repairs. These ancient walls have survived 6 centuries in one of the most shaky spots on the planet. The site gets over 80 inches of rain every year. That is enough water to turn a normal mountain into a giant mudslide. But Machu Picchu stays perfectly still. When a team from a big university tried to model this using the best software, the results were blunt. They said the knowledge of water flow shown here shouldn't exist in a world without written math. Most visitors think the Inca just carved the mountain to make flat spots for corn. That is what the tour guides say, but it is not even close to the full story. The 2026 scans show that each terrace is a sandwich of different materials. Layer 1 is a base of huge stones, some weighing over 1,000 pounds. They are placed to handle the weight of the mountain. Layer 2 is a mix of smaller rocks and gravel. This layer lets water flow through but stops the soil from washing away. Layer 3 is a special layer of sand. Layer 4 is the rich topsoil. The exactness of these layers matches modern engineering rules for filters. But the crazy part is what is under all 700 terraces. Radar shows a network of channels carved into the solid granite bedrock. These channels do not just dump water, they move it with math-like flow to keep the mountain stable. The underground channels act as a silent heart that keeps the entire city alive. The Great Pyramid. Math in the high Andes Mountains. The sheer scale of the work at Machu Picchu is hard to wrap your head around. We are talking about 60,000 tons of cut stone and fill. That is the same weight as 400 blue whales. And get this, all of that material had to be moved up a mountain that is basically a cliff. The slopes are 45 degrees steep. In 2018, a research team tried to figure out how many people it would take to build just the terraces. They guessed it would take 1,500 workers working full-time for 15 years. But there's a catch. This is a cloud forest. It rains 200 days a year. The air is thin and people get sick from the altitude. The river at the bottom of the mountain is a dangerous rapid. Moving 1,000-pound stones under these conditions is a nightmare. But the new scans show the builders did more than just move stones. They dug deep trenches into the bedrock to set the foundations. Some of these base stones are buried 8 feet underground. This shows they had a master plan before they even started. They knew exactly how the water would move through the mountain. This requires a level of planning that usually needs computers and maps. The Inca had no wheels and no iron tools. They used river rocks to hit other rocks. But the scans show the stones fit together with a gap of less than 2 millimeters. That is thinner than a credit card. Modern workers using diamond saws struggle to do that today. It makes engineers very uncomfortable to see this level of work. They found that the stones were cut from a spot 2 to 4 miles away. This means they had to drag 60,000 tons of granite across a valley and up a cliff, and they did it all with rope and muscle, or at least that is what the history books tell us. But when you look at the smooth cuts and the hard granite, something feels off. Granite is very hard. Copper is soft. You cannot cut granite with copper. It would be like trying to cut a tree with a piece of plastic. The math just does not add up for the tools we think they had. The mountain was reshaped by a power that we still cannot fully explain. Scientists are now looking at the tool marks left on the stone with high-power microscopes. What they found is making the mystery even deeper. In 2025, an artificial intelligence program looked at thousands of photos of the stone cuts. It found 47 different ways the stones were shaped. Some of these methods have never been seen anywhere else in history. It is like a library of engineering that we forgot how to read. Some cuts are so smooth they look like they were melted into place. The AI found that the builders used different styles for the bottom of the walls than the top. The bottom stones are the most perfect. They are the ones that hold the most weight. This means the best engineers did the foundation work first. The work at the top is a little more rough. This suggests that the people who started the project were masters of stone. But it gets even stranger. Beneath the terraces, there are channels carved into solid rock that are perfectly angled. If the angle was off by even a little bit, the water would pile up and the wall would burst. But in 600 years, not one of these walls has failed. A famous hydraulic engineer from Colorado spent 30 years studying this. He said he has seen million-dollar systems in the United States fail in just a few years. He called the Machu Picchu system statistically improbable. That is a fancy way of saying it shouldn't work, but it does. He found that the system can handle 3 inches of rain in 1 hour. That is a massive amount of water. Most modern storm drains would overflow and flood the streets. But at Machu Picchu, the water just disappears into the ground and flows away safely. There is no erosion and no mud. The precision is not just impressive for ancient people, it is impressive for anyone in any time. Hands down, it is the best drainage system ever found from the ancient world. The secret to this perfection might be a history that is much older than we thought. Ancient shifting stones that can survive the earth. We have to talk about earthquakes because Peru is one of the shakiest places on Earth. Machu Picchu sits right on a fault line. When the ground shakes, big stone buildings should fall down. But these terraces have a secret power. They use something called seismic damping. Because the stones fit together without glue or mortar, they can move just a tiny bit. When a big quake hits, the stones dance. They shift a few millimeters and then fall back into place. This lets the walls soak up the energy of the earthquake instead of cracking. It is the same tech we use in the biggest skyscrapers in Los Angeles and Tokyo today. But the people who built this understood it hundreds of years ago. The new scans from 2026 show that the layers of gravel and sand inside the terraces also help. They act like a big cushion for the stone skin. A structural engineer ran a computer test on the data 3 times because he didn't believe the results. The simulation showed that these walls handle stress better than reinforced concrete. He said he has designed modern buildings that are not this safe. The crazy part is that the drainage channels change their shape based on the rock they are carved into. The builders knew exactly what kind of rock was hidden under the dirt. This means they either dug up the whole mountain first to see what was there, or they had a way to see through the ground. Neither option makes much sense for people with no tech. And that's putting it lightly. It is as if the builders had an X-ray view of the earth. They knew where the bedrock was soft and where it was hard. They changed their plan for every single one of the 700 terraces to match the local ground. This is called adaptive design, and it is a very advanced concept. It is not something you get right by just guessing. The more we scan the ground, the more we realize we are missing the main point. Now we have to look at the timeline because the story is starting to fall apart. Most books say the Inca built this place around the year 1450, but new carbon dating from 2025 tells a different story. They found bits of old plants buried deep under the terrace foundations. The tests say those plants are from the year 1250. That is 200 years before the Inca king was even born. This is a huge problem for historians. If the Inca didn't build the foundations, then who did? The scans also found older terraces buried 12 feet under the ones we see today. These hidden walls are built even better than the top ones. They are pointed in a different direction too. This suggests that someone else was there a long time ago. They had the same smart engineering and the same perfect stonework. There is a theory that the Inca were actually the inheritors of the site, not the original inventors. This would explain a lot. In the city of Cusco and other sites like Tiwanaku, you see the same thing. Huge, perfect stones at the bottom and smaller, messy stones on top. It is like someone found a perfect stone base and built their own houses on top of it later. When the Spanish came in the 1500s, they asked the Inca who built these massive walls. The Inca said they did not know. They said the giant stones were already there when their grandfathers arrived. For a long time, scientists thought this was just a myth, but now the radar is proving the Inca might have been telling the truth. The knowledge of how to cut these stones is basically magic. After the Spanish arrived, that knowledge vanished in less than 60 years. By the year 1600, the local people were back to building simple walls with mud and rough rocks. It is one of the biggest tech losses in human history. It is like if we forgot how to make electricity in just one lifetime. The answer to this mystery might be waiting in a hidden room deep under the stone. The hidden room and the future of history. In late 2025, the scans found something that stopped everyone in their tracks. Deep under the lowest terrace, there is a hollow space. It is a room carved into the solid bedrock. The radar shows it has straight walls and a flat ceiling. It is too perfect to be a natural cave. No one has been inside yet because the government is very careful about digging, but the shape of the room suggests it was a key part of the original plan. Maybe it is where the tools are kept. Maybe it holds the records of who really built this mountain city. What most people do not realize is that we have only explored a small part of the mountain. There could be miles of these channels and rooms hidden under the forest. The AI analysis from Stanford says the site is like a giant stone library. It has pieces of engineering from different times and different cultures all mixed together. Some methods look like they came from hundreds of miles away. It is a puzzle that gets harder the more pieces we find. The latest data shows that the water flow is not just good, it is perfect. There is no other way to describe it. Scientists ran thousands of computer tests to find a better way to drain the mountain. They couldn't find one. The system we see at Machu Picchu is the best possible solution to the problem. In the modern world, we only find those solutions after years of testing and math. But the ancient builders got it right on the first try. Could an older civilization have built the foundations of our history without leaving a trace? Tell us what you think in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe.